Chapter 22. The next 2 weeks pass in a whirlwind. In spite of my little display of weirdness that Tuesday in class, I showed up at practice on Wednesday afternoon as if nothing had happened. Maybe nothing had. I was just being me. I'm not sure what the others thought. They said nothing about it. So, like all the other team members, alternates and regulars alike, I stayed every day after school to practice, from 3:30 to almost 6 o'clock. I still couldn't get over the fact that I was a part of the team. Okay, truth. There was the team and there was me, and we were in the same room, but we weren't quite a team. They all appreciated the fact that I usually got the answers right, but when Mr. Dimming gave us multiple choice questions to answer, I had to think for only a moment, then hit the correct letter on my machine. But lots of the preparation involved fast and furious back and forth discussions, and I had trouble adding anything to what was being said, most of the time. One of the longest one-syllable words in the English language is screed, Connor announced one afternoon as he chomped on a raspberry Twizzler. That's a good word for melody, Claire said as she snatched his candy and took a bite. I couldn't respond, and nobody else bothered to. What do you call that dot that goes over the I? Elena asked the group. I knew the answer, but it took me too long to spell out the word. It's called a tittle, Amanda answered quickly, like the brain of a 5th grader. Ooh, snap, said Rodney. I had planned to type snap when she said that too, but I was too slow. The group had already zoomed on to another question. Gee, they talk fast. Who was the first child born in the American colonies? Rose asked, reading from a huge stack of 3x5 cards in her hand. Virginia Dare, Elena answered. Okay, my turn. She flipped through her own cards, color-coded. Who was the first Miss America? That's dumb, Connor said. They're not going to ask stupid girl stuff like that. You don't know the answer? Claire asked him. Of course I know, Connor replied with a snort. Margaret Gorman in 1921. She was 16 and probably looked better than you. He and Rodney were the only ones to laugh. Rodney jumped in then. I've got a nasty question. What is pediculosis? Without missing a beat, Rose answered. When you've got a scalp full of head lice. Ew! Do you know that from personal experience? Of course not. I was just looking for a hard word, Rodney told her. He and Connor didn't laugh that time. You want a hard word? I've got one, Amanda told the group. What is hexadactylism? That seemed to stump all of them for a minute, so I had time to tap on the number 6, followed by the word fingers. Then I pushed play so they could all hear my answer. Good job, Melody, Elena said. How does she know all this stuff? Claire whispered to Rose. She's smart, Rose said, flipping through more cards. But she'll look odd on TV, don't you think? Claire continued, as if I couldn't hear her. I was ready for her. I had typed a couple of things the night before, so all I had to do was push a button. TV makes lots of people look funny, I typed in machine. Maybe even you, Claire. Ooh, look who's got snaps now, Connor hooted. Good one, Melody. If I could have danced, I would have. But as quickly as that moment happened, it disappeared. The team zipped on a rocket speed pace, feeding off one another's knowledge and skill. At the rate they were going, there was no way I could jump in quick enough. I listened, however, and remembered it all. What is the only rock that floats? Pumice. How many chromosomes does a human have? 46. What is the first state to allow women to vote? Wyoming. What's with Mr. Dimming's first name? Wallace. We all cracked up at that. At the end of every prep session, Mr. Dimming gave us another official quiz from national headquarters. Since those always consisted of multiple choice questions, I always did well. But I wanted to be like the rest of them as we studied. One Thursday in the middle of a practice session, Rose's mom ordered pizza for everyone and had it delivered to the school. Your mom rocks, Connor said. You're pretty easy to please, Connor, Rose replied with a laugh. Everybody rushed to get the hot, spicy-smelling slices from the box. I was starving like the rest of them, but I just sat there. I don't want "Don't you want some pizza?" Elena asked me. "I'll go get a slice for you." She never said much during the practices, but she took lots of notes, and she usually scored pretty high on her practice quizzes. "Not hungry," I typed. How could I explain to her that without Catherine, or my mom, or Mrs. V, I wasn't able to eat? I had to be fed like a baby, and I made a mess even then. When my mom came to pick me up, she asked me if I wanted to stop by Pizza Hut on the way home. I just shook my head. Chapter 23. The day of the actual competition dawns bright and chilly. I shiver in the early March air as Mrs. B and I wait for my school bus. My jacket feels good. We've decided to use the manual chair today, since the electric one, even with the car ramps, is a little too heavy for Mom to handle on her own. "You ready, Mellow Yellow?" Mrs. V asks me. "Oh, yeah. Your head feel like it's gonna pop with all those facts stuck inside?" she teases. "Yep," I type and grin at her. "You'll do fine. Better than fine. Dynamite. Possibly awesome," Mrs. B says. "Oh, yeah," I push again. We'll all be downtown in the audience cheering you on." "And the team?" I type. "There are others on the team?" she asked, smacking herself on the forehead. "I thought you were a solo act." "And teams from other schools?" I type. "Don't worry, you're smarter than all of them put together. So we'll be cheering the loudest. Your mom and dad, me, and Penny." "Do I look okay?" I typed. Mrs. V looks me up and down. "Like a television star," she replies. "Your mom tucked an extra blouse in your bag just in case. Catherine knows what to do." I'm glad Catherine will be with us, and I think Mr. Dimming is glad as well. "Tell me the plan again," I type out. "Okay. Your mom will pick you up from school, take you to get a bite to eat, and get you to the TV studio about 15 minutes before the rest of the contestants. Penny and your dad and I will meet you there. TV folks won't freak out when I show up," I typed. "They are all well prepared for you. Actually, it's possibly a few reporters might be there and want to talk to you." "Me? Why? I can't imagine why any news person would want to talk to somebody who can only talk through a machine. How boring." "You're a wonderful human interest story. Other people might be interested in knowing more about you." "They won't make fun of me?" Just the thought of that made my palms sweaty. Mrs. V takes my hand in hers. "Not at all. They'll admire you, I'm sure. You're Spalding Street Elementary School's own personal Stephen Hawking. They're lucky." "Hope so. Here's your bus. Have a great day, Melody. I'll see you tonight." I managed to get through the day without spilling anything on my clothes, and I'm relieved to see Mom when the last bell rings at school. After a quick meal of macaroni and applesauce in the car, smart Mom, nothing red, we headed downtown. We found a handicapped parking lot spot right in front of the studio, and after the unusual unloading of the chair, down the ramps, setting me up, strapping me in, and attaching my MetaTalker, we rolled inside. The receptionist, a chunky, pleasant woman with lots of makeup and frizzy hair, directs us to the staging area. I have to blink a little to figure it all out. Everything you see on TV is fake. I see the place where they film the news. When I watch it on television at home, it looks like the reporters are sitting in front of a huge window that looks at all of downtown. But it's just a painting, and it's pretty small. So is the desk where the reporters sit. It seems so much bigger from home. I recognize a couple of the reporters who I watch every day. I can't believe how skinny the morning lady is. On TV, she looks like a normal size. I'm going to look like a huge balloon when the camera shows me. Speaking of cameras, they are huge, like giant, like mechanical space beans on wheels. Guys with headphones and women with clipboards run around checking stuff. The back part of the studio is dark, but the place where the contestant will take place is lit brightly. I can see where the teams will stand and the big buttons they'll push for the answers.